The Galactic Stage, humanity's unexpected allies. The vast expanse of space had long been a realm of wonder and mystery for humanity. But as the 24th century dawned, Earth found itself thrust onto a galactic stage, teeming with ancient civilizations, complex alliances, and simmering conflicts. Humanity, the newcomers, were often regarded with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal by the elder races who had traversed the stars for millennia. Among the myriad species that populated the galaxy, one stood out to the human explorers, the Zephyrians. These beings, with their gossamer-like skin that shimmered with bioluminescence and their ability to communicate through complex patterns of light, were a far cry from the green-skinned humanoids of old science fiction. The Zephyrians were peaceful to a fault, their society built on principles of harmony and intellectual pursuit. It was on a routine exploration mission that Captain Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth ship Horizon first encountered the Zephyrians. As her ship approached the edge of known space, they detected an unusual energy signature emanating from a nearby planet. Upon closer inspection, they found a Zephyrian science vessel adrift, its systems failing. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the UES Horizon," she hailed, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Do you require assistance?" The response came not in words, but in a dazzling display of lights that danced across the hull of the alien ship. The ship's AI quickly translated, "Greetings, Earth vessel. We are in dire need. Our systems are failing, and our people are in danger." Without hesitation, Rodriguez ordered her crew to render aid. As they worked to stabilize the Zephyrian ship, they learned of the plight that had brought these gentle beings to the brink of extinction. The Zephyrians, it turned out, were being hunted. "Our kind has long been sought after for our unique abilities," explained Zalforan, the lead scientist aboard the vessel. His skin pulsed with muted blues and greens, a sign of sorrow in their species. "Many in the galaxy believe that consuming our essence can grant them enhanced cognitive abilities and longevity." Rodriguez felt a surge of anger at the thought of these peaceful beings being hunted like animals. "That's barbaric," she said, her fists clenching at her sides. "Why hasn't the Galactic Council intervened?" Zalforan's light patterns shifted to a mix of resignation and fear. "The Council, they turn a blind eye. Many of the elder races see us as a resource, not as equals." It was at that moment that Rodriguez made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. "Well, the Zephyrians have allies now," she declared, her voice ringing with determination. "Earth stands with you." News of humanity's alliance with the Zephyrians spread quickly through the cosmic grapevine. Many of the elder races scoffed at the audacity of these upstart humans, thinking their protection meaningless in the grand scheme of galactic politics. But they underestimated the tenacity of the human spirit. In the weeks that followed, Earth's diplomatic corps worked tirelessly to bring the plight of the Zephyrians to the forefront of galactic discourse. Human scientists collaborated with Zephyrian researchers, combining their knowledge to develop new technologies that could protect the vulnerable species. It was during one of these joint research sessions that Dr. Amelia Chung, Earth's leading xenobiologist, made a startling discovery: the Zephyrian biology. She explained to a rapt audience of human and alien scientists, "It's not just unique, it's adaptive. Given time and the right conditions, they could evolve defenses against those who hunt them." This revelation sparked a new initiative. Earth offered sanctuary to the Zephyrians, providing them with a safe haven where they could live and evolve without fear of persecution. The gesture was met with mixed reactions across the galaxy. Some races, like the empathetic Auroran Collective, voiced their support for humanity's actions. Others, particularly those who had long profited from the exploitation of the Zephyrians, were less pleased. The tension came to a head at an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chenwei of Earth stood before the assembled representatives of 100 worlds, his voice unwavering as he addressed the chamber. "For too long, the galaxy has turned a blind eye to the suffering of the Zephyrians," he began, his words echoing through the vast hall. Humanity may be young among the stars, but we recognize injustice when we see it. We will not stand idly by while sentient beings are hunted to extinction. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The draconian representative, a towering reptilian being named Corvash, rose to speak. "The humans overstep," he hissed, his forked tongue flicking in agitation. "They do not understand the delicate balance of galactic politics. The Zephyrians are a necessary sacrifice for the greater good." Ambassador Chen's eyes narrowed. "And who decides what the greater good is, Counselor? The Zephyrians are not a resource to be exploited. They are a sentient species with the right to exist and thrive." As the debate raged on, it became clear that the galaxy was divided on the issue. But humanity stood firm in its conviction. In a bold move that shocked many, Earth announced the formation of a protective fleet dedicated to safeguarding Zephyrian interests. The message was clear. Humanity had drawn a line in the cosmic sand. They would protect their new allies, no matter the cost. As news of Earth's declaration spread, the Zephyrians themselves underwent a transformation. Inspired by the unwavering support of their human allies, they began to shed their passive nature. For the first time in eons, the Zephyrians started to develop defensive technologies, merging their unique biological insights with human ingenuity. Captain Rodriguez, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned UES Defiant, the flagship of Earth's Zephyrian protection fleet. As she looked out at the stars, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride mixed with trepidation. "We've stirred up quite the hornet's nest, haven't we?" her XO, Commander Jackson, remarked. Rodriguez nodded, her eyes fixed on the distant pinpricks of light. "We have. But it was the right thing to do. And if the galaxy doesn't like it..." She turned to face her crew, a determined smile on her face. "Well, they'll just have to deal with it. Humanity's here to stay, and we protect our own." As the Defiant and its sister ships took up their positions around Zephyrian space, a new chapter in galactic history began to unfold. Humanity had made its stand, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Little did they know, the true test of humanity's resolve was yet to come. The Draconian Imperium, with its vast fleets and ancient grudges, was not about to let this challenge to the status quo go unanswered. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. But that, as they say, is a story for another time. The threat emerges, the Draconian Imperium's aggression. The galactic year 2457 dawned with an uneasy tension permeating the cosmic ether. Humanity's bold stance in defense of the Zephyrians had not gone unnoticed, and whispers of discontent echoed through the grand halls of power across the galaxy. At the forefront of this brewing storm stood the Draconian Imperium, a vast empire spanning thousands of worlds, known for its ruthless efficiency and unwavering belief in strength above all else. High Admiral Korzath of the Draconian fleet paced the obsidian floors of his command chamber aboard the dreadnought Eternal Flame. His scales shimmered with barely contained rage as he reviewed the latest reports from his spies scattered throughout human and Zephyrian space. "Preposterous," he snarled, his razor-sharp teeth glinting in the low light. "These humans dare to upset millennia of galactic order for a species that contributes nothing but pretty lights." His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Vexillar, stood at attention, her own scales a muted gray in deference to her superior. "The humans seem to value the Zephyrians for reasons beyond mere utility, sir. Our psyche analysts suggest it's tied to their emotions." She spat the last word as if it left a bad taste in her mouth. Korzath's yellow eyes narrowed. Emotions? How quaint. And how dangerous. He turned to face the holographic display of the galaxy, his clawed hand hovering over the small cluster of stars that represented Earth and its colonies. "We've allowed these upstarts to play at being a galactic power for too long. It's time they learned their place." Meanwhile, on Earth, the United Nations Galactic Affairs Committee was in session. Ambassador Chenwei, fresh from his impassioned speech at the Galactic Council, stood before his peers, his face grave. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the weight of recent events, "our intelligence suggests that the Draconian Imperium is mobilizing its fleet. Their intentions are clear. They mean to challenge our protection of the Zephyrians." A murmur of concern rippled through the assembly. Admiral Elena Rodriguez, present via hologram from her flagship, spoke up. "We anticipated this. The Draconians have long profited from the exploitation of lesser species. Our stance threatens their economic model. The threat emerges: the Draconian Imperium's aggression." The galactic year 2457 dawned with an uneasy tension permeating the cosmic ether. Humanity's bold stance in defense of the Zephyrians had not gone unnoticed, and whispers of discontent echoed through the grand halls of power across the galaxy. At the forefront of this brewing storm stood the Draconian Imperium, a vast empire spanning thousands of worlds, known for its ruthless efficiency and unwavering belief in strength above all else. High Admiral Korzath of the Draconian fleet paced the obsidian floors of his command chamber aboard the dreadnought Eternal Flame. His scales shimmered with barely contained rage as he reviewed the latest reports from his spies scattered throughout human and Zephyrian space. "Preposterous," he snarled, his razor-sharp teeth glinting in the low light. "These humans dare to upset millennia of galactic order for a species that contributes nothing but pretty lights." His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Vexillar, stood at attention, her own scales a muted gray in deference to her superior. "The humans seem to value the Zephyrians for reasons beyond mere utility, sir. Our psyche analysts suggest it's tied to their emotions." She spat the last word, as if it left a bad taste in her mouth. Korzath's yellow eyes narrowed. Emotions. How quaint. And how dangerous. He turned to face the holographic display of the galaxy, his clawed hand hovering over the small cluster of stars that represented Earth and its colonies. "We've allowed these upstarts to play at being a galactic power for too long. It's time they learned their place." Meanwhile, on Earth, the United Nations Galactic Affairs Committee was in session. Ambassador Chen Wei, fresh from his impassioned speech at the Galactic Council, stood before his peers, his face grave. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the weight of recent events, "our intelligence suggests that the Draconian Imperium is mobilizing its fleet. Their intentions are clear. They mean to challenge our protection of the Zephyrians." A murmur of concern rippled through the assembly. Admiral Elena Rodriguez, present via hologram from her flagship, spoke up. "We anticipated this. The Draconians have long profited from the exploitation of lesser species. Our stance threatens their economic model." "Not just their economic model," interjected Dr. Amelia Chung, her hologram flickering to life beside Rodriguez's. "Their entire worldview. The Draconians believe in a strict hierarchy of species. Our alliance with the Zephyrians, a species they consider inferior, is an affront to their core beliefs." Chen nodded grimly. "Precisely. Which is why we must prepare for the worst. The Draconians are not known for their subtlety or diplomacy. They will likely make a move soon, and it will be decisive." As if on cue, alarms blared across the chamber. A young lieutenant burst into the room, his face pale. "Mr. Ambassador, Admiral, we've just received word. A Draconian battle group has entered Zephyrian space. They're demanding the immediate surrender of the Zephyrian homeworld." For a moment, the room was silent, the weight of the situation settling heavily on all present. Then, Admiral Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension, steel in her tone. "Well, they're in for a nasty surprise. Our fleet is already in position. We won't let them lay a claw on our allies." Chen turned to the assembly, his eyes blazing with determination. "This is the moment we've prepared for. Humanity drew a line in the sand, and now we must defend it. I move for an immediate declaration of support for our Zephyrian allies and authorization for full military engagement against Draconian aggression." The vote was unanimous. As Earth's political machinery sprang into action, out in the depths of space, the UES Defiant and its sister ships moved to intercept the Draconian battle group. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her crew a picture of focused determination around her. "Open a channel to the Draconian flagship," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Crossed lines. The Draconian attack. The defeat of the Draconian battle group sent shockwaves through the galaxy. In the cycles that followed, a tense calm settled over known space. The Galactic Council chambers buzzed with heated debates and whispered conspiracies. Many races, long oppressed by the Draconians, looked to Earth with newfound hope and admiration. Others, particularly those who had benefited from the old order, regarded humanity with suspicion and fear. On Draconis Prime, the capital world of the Imperium, High Admiral Korzath faced the consequences of his failure. The Emperor's throne room was dark, illuminated only by the eerie glow of bioluminescent fungi that lined the walls. Emperor Sarkrath's massive form loomed on the obsidian throne, his scales a deep crimson of barely contained rage. "You have brought shame upon our empire, Korzath," the Emperor's voice rumbled, each word dripping with venom. Centuries of draconian superiority, undone by a species barely out of its cosmic infancy. Korzath prostrated himself, his snout touching the cold floor. "My Emperor, I take full responsibility for the defeat, but I implore you to see this as an opportunity. The humans caught us off guard with technology we didn't know they possessed. Given time, we can." Silence. Sarkrath roared, rising to his full height. "I care not for your excuses. The Draconian Imperium does not adapt. We conquer, we dominate, and we will do so again." The Emperor's eyes narrowed, a cruel smile playing across his reptilian features. "You wish to redeem yourself, Korzath? Very well. You will have your chance. Prepare our forces, all of them. We will strike at the heart of this human-Zephyrian alliance and crush it once and for all." Korzath's head snapped up, a mix of surprise and eagerness in his eyes. "All of our forces, my Emperor. But the Galactic Accords mean nothing." Sarkrath cut him off. "The humans have upset the balance. Now, we shall restore it. Go, and do not fail me again." As Korzath hurried out to carry out his orders, the Emperor turned to the shadows behind his throne. "What do you think, Whisper?" A figure materialized from the darkness, its form constantly shifting and blurring. The Whisper, the Emperor's most trusted advisor and spy, spoke in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "The humans are dangerous, my liege. More so than we anticipated. But they have one weakness, their compassion. They will not expect us to strike at civilians. It will be their undoing." The Emperor nodded, a cruel glint in his eye. "Then let the slaughter begin." Weeks passed, and the galaxy held its breath. On Earth, Admiral Rodriguez and her team worked tirelessly to strengthen the defenses around Zephyrian space. The UES Defiant patrolled the borders, a constant reminder of humanity's commitment to their allies. It was during one such routine patrol that disaster struck. "Admiral." Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka's voice cut through the calm of the bridge. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. It's the entire Draconian fleet." Rodriguez's blood ran cold. "All hands to battle stations. Send out a distress call to Earth-End." Her words were cut short as the first wave of Draconian ships dropped out of hyperspace, but they didn't engage the Defiant. Instead, they headed straight for the nearest Zephyrian colony world. "No," Rodriguez breathed, realizing their terrible mistake. They had been so focused on protecting the Zephyrian homeworld that they had left the outer colonies vulnerable. The next few hours were a nightmare. The Defiant and its support ships fought valiantly, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. Rodriguez watched in horror as Draconian forces laid waste to Zephyrian cities, their weapons indiscriminately targeting military and civilian structures alike. "We need to evacuate as many as we can," Rodriguez ordered, her voice tight with controlled fury. Divert all power to shields and start transporting civilians. We hold the line here, no matter the cost. As the battle raged, news of the attack spread across the galaxy. On Earth, emergency sessions were called, and the full might of humanity's military machine sprang into action. But they were hours away at best. In the midst of the chaos, a young Zephyrian scientist named Lyrantha made a desperate decision. Racing against time, she activated an experimental device, a quantum beacon that tapped into the very fabric of space-time. The effect was immediate and staggering. Across the galaxy, on every world where Zephyrians had sought refuge, individuals of the species began to glow with an intense light. Their bodies vibrated in harmony with the quantum beacon, and in a flash, they vanished, only to reappear moments later in the space around the besieged colony. The draconian forces, caught off guard by this impossible event, faltered in their attack. Thousands of Zephyrians, their bodies pulsing with energy, formed a living shield around their endangered brethren. It was into this scene of chaos and wonder that the human reinforcements arrived. Led by the newly commissioned super dreadnought UES Humanity's Resolve, Earth's fleet dropped out of hyperspace with weapons blazing. Admiral Chen Wei, who had insisted on leading the counterattack himself, opened a channel to all ships, human, Zephyrian, and Draconian alike. This is Admiral Chen Wei of Earth. To the Draconian forces, you were warned. You were told not to touch our allies. You chose to ignore that warning. Now you will face the consequences of your actions. What followed was a battle that would be remembered for generations. Human ships, their technology now fully unleashed, tore through the Draconian fleet. Zephyrian refugees, still glowing with quantum energy, used their newfound power to disrupt Draconian systems and shield their saviors. In the heart of the conflict, the UES Defiant and the Draconian flagship Eternal Flame faced off in a duel that would become the stuff of legend. Admiral Rodriguez and High Admiral Korzath, two of the finest tactical minds in the galaxy, engaged in a deadly dance of maneuver and counter-maneuver. As the battle reached its crescendo, Rodriguez saw her opening. With a series of commands too quick for the eye to follow, she brought the Defiant into point-blank range of the Eternal Flame. "This is for the Zephyrians," she whispered, and fired. The Draconian flagship erupted in a ball of fire, taking High Admiral Korzath with it. With their leader fallen and their forces in disarray, the remaining Draconian ships began to retreat. As the last enemy vessel flowed into hyperspace, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. The cost had been high. Millions of Zephyrians had perished in the initial attack, and both human and Zephyrian ships floated lifelessly in the void. But they had won. Admiral Chen Wei's voice, tired but resolute, broke the silence. "To all ships and survivors, the enemy has been repelled. But our work is not done. Begin rescue and recovery operations immediately. Today, we mourn our losses. Tomorrow, we rebuild, and we ensure that nothing like this ever happens again." As the combined human and Zephyrian forces turned their attention to the monumental task of recovery, news of the battle spread across the stars. The galaxy watched in awe and fear as the full extent of humanity's power and the depth of their commitment to their allies became clear. The Draconian Imperium had crossed a line, and humanity had responded with overwhelming force. The message was clear: Earth was no longer a minor player in galactic affairs. A new era had begun, and at its center stood an unbreakable alliance forged in the fires of war. But as the dust settled, and the true scale of the devastation became apparent, new questions arose. How would the galaxy respond to this shift in power? What consequences would the Draconians face for their actions? And perhaps most importantly, how would humanity handle the responsibility that came with their newfound position of strength? The answers to these questions would shape the future of the galaxy for millennia to come. Aftermath and revelations. In the wake of the Draconian attack and humanity's decisive victory, the galaxy found itself in a state of profound upheaval. The once mighty Draconian Imperium lay in ruins, its fleet scattered and its leadership in disarray. Across countless worlds, oppressed species who had long suffered under Draconian rule began to rise up, sensing an opportunity for freedom. On Earth, the United Nations Galactic Affairs Committee convened an emergency session to address the new reality they found themselves in. The chamber was packed, with representatives from every nation and colony world in attendance. Admiral Elena Rodriguez and Ambassador Chen Wei stood side by side at the podium, their faces etched with the weariness of recent events, but their eyes burning with determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, his voice carrying across the hushed room, "we stand at a crossroads. Our victory over the Draconian Imperium has catapulted humanity into a position of unprecedented influence in galactic affairs. The question before us now is, what do we do with this power?" Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. "We've received communiques from over 300 worlds in the former Draconian sphere of influence. They're looking to us for leadership, for protection. The galaxy is watching, waiting to see what kind of power we will be." A murmur ran through the assembly. The magnitude of the situation was not lost on anyone present. Humanity, in the span of a few short years, had gone from a newcomer on the galactic stage to potentially its most influential player. Dr. Amelia Chung, now head of the newly formed Sinological Research Institute, spoke up. "We must also address the elephant in the room, the true extent of our technological capabilities. The galaxy now knows we've been holding back. They'll want answers." Chen nodded gravely. "Indeed, which is why we've decided it's time for full disclosure. Admiral, if you would." Rodriguez tapped a command into her wrist computer, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a spinning double helix, but unlike any DNA molecule the assembly had seen before. "Ladies and gentlemen," Rodriguez said, her voice solemn, "what you're looking at is the key to humanity's rapid advancement. Shortly after our first contact with alien life, we discovered a dormant gene sequence in human DNA. When activated, it unlocked cognitive and technological leaps beyond our wildest dreams." The room erupted in shocked whispers and exclamations. Chen raised his hands for quiet. "We kept this secret to protect ourselves and to avoid upsetting the galactic balance of power. But now, with the Draconian threat neutralized, we believe it's time for the truth to come out." As the implications of this revelation sank in, the assembly broke into heated debate. Some argued for using this advantage to establish human dominance across the galaxy. Others cautioned restraint, warning of the dangers of becoming the very thing they had fought against. In the midst of the chaos, a calm voice cut through the noise. Lyra, the young Zephyrian scientist who had activated the quantum beacon during the Draconian attack, had been invited to address the assembly. "Esteemed humans," she began, her bioluminescent skin pulsing gently, "you stood by us in our darkest hour. You risked everything to protect a species many considered insignificant. Now, I believe, it is our turn to stand by you." She gestured, and a holographic display changed, showing a complex equation. "The quantum beacon that saved my people was based on theories we've been working on for millennia. With your unlocked potential and our ancient knowledge, imagine what we could achieve together." A hush fell over the room as the implications of Lyrantha's words stank in. The combination of humanity's hidden potential and Zephyrian quantum mechanics could revolutionize travel, communication, even the very nature of reality itself. Ambassador Chen smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Perhaps this is the answer we've been looking for. Not domination, not isolation, but cooperation. A new galactic order based on mutual benefit and shared progress." Over the next few months, a flurry of activity swept across Earth and its colonies. The decision was made to gradually share humanity's advancements with the galactic community, starting with their closest allies. A new organization, the Galactic Cooperative for Advancement and Protection, GCAP, was formed to oversee this process and to help stabilize regions formerly under draconian control. As news of humanity's true nature spread, reactions across the galaxy were mixed. Many welcomed the change, seeing humans as liberators and beacons of hope. Others, particularly among the elder races who had long dominated galactic politics, viewed the situation with suspicion and fear. The Auroran Collective, longtime supporters of Earth, were among the first to fully embrace the new paradigm. Their ambassador, a being of pure energy named Jorix, addressed the Galactic Council. For too long, our galaxy has been mired in stagnation, clinging to old power structures and outdated beliefs. Humanity, with its unique gifts and its unwavering commitment to its allies, offers us a chance at true progress. We of the Auroran Collective pledge our full support to this new endeavor. Not all were so enthusiastic. The Vexcar technocracy, a species of cybernetically enhanced beings who had long prided themselves on being the most technologically advanced race in the galaxy, viewed humanity's leap forward as a threat. Their representative, a towering figure more machine than organic, spoke in clipped, emotionless tones. "The humans have deceived us all. They hid their true nature, amassed power in secret. How can we trust them now? We demand oversight, restrictions." The debate raged on, but Earth stood firm in its new role. Humanitarian aid flowed to worlds devastated by draconian rule. Human and Zephyrian scientists worked together to develop new technologies that would benefit all species. The GCAP, under the joint leadership of Admiral Rodriguez and Lyrantha, became a beacon of cooperation and progress. As the galaxy adjusted to this new reality, the remnants of the Draconian Imperium retreated to their core worlds, licking their wounds and plotting revenge. But their time as a dominant force in galactic politics was over. A new era had dawned, with humanity and their allies at its center. Yet, as Earth celebrated its victories and looked to a brighter future, a nagging question remained: where had humanity's hidden potential come from? Was it a natural evolution, a cosmic coincidence, or had some ancient force been guiding human development all along? The answer to that question would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization, but that revelation was still to come. For now, humanity focused on the monumental task before them, reshaping the galaxy into a place of peace, progress, and cooperation. As Admiral Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the UES Defiant, watching ships from a dozen species working together to rebuild a former draconian colony world, she allowed herself a small smile. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but for the first time in galactic history, there was hope for a truly united future. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that day, as if in approval of the new path that lay ahead. A new era, humanity's rise as galactic protectors. 5 years had passed since the fall of the Draconian Imperium and the revelation of humanity's true potential. The galaxy, once a fragmented tapestry of competing interests and ancient grudges, was undergoing a transformation unlike any in recorded history. At the heart of this change stood Earth and its allies, chief among them the Zephyrians. On the newly christened world of Nova Harmonia, a planet that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Cooperative for Advancement and Protection, GCAP, representatives from hundreds of species gathered for the first Galactic Concordance. The event was more than just a diplomatic summit. It was a celebration of progress and a forum for shaping the future of interstellar civilization. Admiral Elena Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's primary representative to GCAP, stood at the podium, surveying the diverse assembly before her. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions filled the grand amphitheater, their attention focused on the human who had become a symbol of change. Friends, allies, fellow sentients, Rodriguez began, her voice carrying easily through the advanced acoustic system. 5 years ago, we stood on the brink of chaos. The Draconian Imperium threatened to plunge our galaxy into darkness, but together, we rose to meet that challenge. Today, we gather not as conquerors or subjugators, but as equals, united in our vision for a better future. A ripple of approval moved through the crowd. Rodriguez continued, "The reconstruction of former draconian worlds is proceeding ahead of schedule. Thanks to the combined efforts of human ingenuity and Zephyrian quantum mechanics, we've developed new terraforming technologies that have restored life to planets once thought forever scared by war." Holographic displays sprang to life around the amphitheater, showing lush, thriving worlds that had, mere years ago, been barren wastelands. The images were a testament to what could be achieved through cooperation. "But our work is far from over," Rodriguez said, her tone growing serious. "While we've made great strides in healing the wounds of the past, new challenges arise. The power vacuum left by the Draconians has led to the emergence of opportunistic factions. Piracy is on the rise in the outer systems, and there are whispers of a shadowy organization seeking to destabilize our newfound peace." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembly. Rodriguez raised her hand, calling for calm. "This is why, today, I propose the formation of a new initiative, the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, a joint effort drawing on the strengths of all our member species, dedicated to maintaining stability and responding to threats wherever they may arise." The proposal was met with a mix of enthusiasm and skepticism. The Auroran representative, Jorix, was quick to voice support. "The Auroran Collective stands with Earth in this endeavor. Too long have we allowed the law of the strongest to govern our stars. It is time for a more enlightened approach." Others were more cautious. The Vexkar, still wary of human intentions, raised concerns about oversight and the concentration of military power. Their concerns were not unfounded, and lengthy debates ensued over the structure and governance of the proposed force. As the discussions continued, Lyrantha, now serving as the head of the Zephyrian Science Council, took the stage. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed with excitement as she addressed the assembly. "Esteemed colleagues, while we debate the future of our collective security, I have an announcement that I believe will change the very nature of our existence in this galaxy." A hush fell over the crowd as Lyrantha activated a holographic display. It showed a swirling vortex of energy, pulsing with otherworldly light. "What you're seeing is a stable wormhole, created using a combination of human cognitive enhancements and Zephyrian quantum theories. This isn't just faster than light travel, it's instant transportation across vast cosmic distances." The implications were staggering. Such technology would revolutionize trade, exploration, and defense. It would bring the far-flung corners of the galaxy into immediate reach. As excited chatter filled the amphitheater, a soft chime sounded, signaling an incoming transmission. Rodriguez frowned. Interruptions were strictly forbidden during the concordance. She tapped her communicator, and her eyes widened at the message she received. "Delegates, please remain calm," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "We've just received word from our long-range scouts. A massive object of unknown origin has entered the galaxy. It's headed straight for Earth." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Fear, speculation, and calls for action mingled in a chaotic symphony. Rodriguez raised her voice, struggling to be heard above the din. "This is precisely why we need to stand united. Whatever this new challenge may be, we face it together. The Galactic Peacekeeping Force is no longer a proposal. It's a necessity. I call for an immediate vote. In the face of a potential threat, old rivalries and suspicions were set aside." The vote was swift and nearly unanimous. As klaxons sounded and ships prepared for departure, Rodriguez couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. Once again, humanity and its allies stood on the brink of the unknown. But this time, they weren't facing it alone. As ships from 100 worlds formed up around the human and Zephyrian vessels, Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. Whatever was coming, they would meet it as a united galaxy. As the combined fleet prepared to jump to Earth, using the newly developed wormhole technology, Rodriguez addressed her fellow commanders. "We've come a long way from being newcomers in this vast cosmos. We've faced threats, made allies, and reshaped the very fabric of galactic society. Now we face a new unknown. But remember this, our strength lies not in our technology or our weapons, but in our unity. Together, there's no challenge we cannot overcome. With a flash of energy, the fleet disappeared into the swirling vortex, racing to meet humanity's next great adventure. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what this new